So you're a Munro bagger, are you? And that means, of course, that you won't consider climbing anything under 3,000 feet, because, as everybody knows, they present the greatest challenge in mountaineering. Well, phooey to that. This is Assynt, possibly one of the most beautiful areas in the world. When I used to come here as a snivelling brat on camping holidays, the thing that captured my imagination was the incredible mountains that dominate this area, none more so than Suilven. But of course, this is the Munro show, and Suilven is not a Munro, so we won't be climbing that, will we? Try and stop us.
It will be pronounced in Gaelic, Suilven. I am told that it is Sul is from a Norse word meaning a pillar.
Our start point is from the car park at Glencanisp Lodge, a couple of miles from Lochunver. A short and pleasant walk takes you around the back of the lodge and onto a stalker's path. The house is owned by the Vesties, one of Britain's richest families, and as a holiday house, it's certainly got one of the biggest back gardens in the world. The route goes right past their house, and no matter what your views are on the outdated feudal system in Scotland, make sure you shut their gates. There's no shortcuts to get to Suilven at all. It's an enormously long hike which you'll just have to thole to get to the bottom of it. But it is through outstandingly beautiful countryside and full of wildlife. We saw an otter in this loch behind me. Of course, we weren't fast enough to unpack the camera from its rucksack, and in the time it took us to do it, it had raised a family, eaten a couple of trout and so on, so you just have to take our word for it. But it's in there, honest. Geologically, it's Lewisian gneiss that makes Suilven so hard to get at. Try walking towards us in a straight line and you'll soon be weeping with fatigue and frustration, waist deep in either water or bogland. The two most popular routes are our one from Glencanisp, which weaves through the lochans to get you onto the ridge, and a less well-trodden path from Inverkirkig further south. I've done both, and I can tell you this route from the northwest is quicker. Well, it may be a 4-mile walk to here, but it's 4 very easy miles along this terribly well-constructed stalker's path that incidentally brings you out to Elfin should you continue along it, and that's a stupendous low-level walk for those who can't be bothered climbing, scuttling around as you would be beneath this bizarre mountain architecture in Assynt. However, this is Cairn is saying to me, Muriel, cut out all this easy walking nonsense and get yourself up there, wade through some thigh-deep heather, fall over in some mud. OK then. Well, this swimming peat bog is what masquerades as the path up to Suilven from the Stalker's Path. What incredibly bad erosion. It's just as well Suilven isn't a Munro, otherwise it would be 500 times worse. Terrible. The path's so boggy and past caring. You think you're never going to get here, but here at last we are at the base of Suilven, and all we need to do now is a long, hard, sharp pull up onto the ridge, and that's it, we're nearly at the summit. Thank heavens! Well, if you're dispirited at this stage after such a long trek and faced with nothing more than a featureless grassy slope that seems to go on forever, comfort yourself with the thought that when you reach the ridge, you'll enjoy views that will make every weary mile you've walked and stumbled seem as nothing. To say this mountain repays the walker's effort is a bit of an understatement. See what I mean? And after that climb onto the ridge, there's a bit of a surprise lurking on Suilven's narrow back. This immaculately constructed dry stone wall is a mystery even to the locals. We asked everybody we could think of who built the wall, and nobody had a clue. Walls were often built over the backs of hills to stop sheep straying off crags, but since there are crags on both sides of this wall, it doesn't make sense. Well, this is it. The quite magnificent and seemingly unattainable summit of Suilven. This is the summit along at the west end. You can see the east summit there, which is slightly lower. And to get to that, it's quite a terrific scramble, but probably worth doing if you get this far. Munros, Munros. It doesn't have to be one. This is 2,399 feet, and it matches any of the views you'll get from the larger mountains in the west coast of Scotland. Over here you can see Culmore and Culbeg, the Inverpolly Nature Reserve, which also contains Stack Polly, an intriguing little hill that you can run up and down in about 2 hours if you're fit. Seeing all the way to the Summer Isles, Ochiltabui, and down here to Loch Inver, across this incredible moorland pitted with all these little lochans covered in water lilies during the summer. Quite magnificent.